Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners, macabre murders, and captivating crimes from across the centuries, and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tales that we tell. And it's episode 209.
Isn't it indeed?
It is. We're
Ooh,
nearly
how
into the
very good.
tens.
Marvellous.
Rattling through the 200s.
Knocking them out quickly.
Well, 9 into it.
Bit of a way to go yet.
Bit of a way to go. How are you, Nick?
I'm hot.
You're hot.
It's quite hot.
It is. It's muggy.
It's muggy.
It's muggy.
And
Muggy.
it looks like it's going to rain, but it's not going to rain. It's just going to be muggy forever.
You know what we're due?
Do a big storm.
Big storm.
Big storm.
You know what? Garden needs it.
That's
Garden
never going to
needs it.
come.
We've been due a storm for about a week. I've been
For
waiting.
about 4 years.
It must no, but there must be a storm coming because of the ants. The flying ant season has begun.
It has.
And there are many.
It's upsetting.
We're either going to be beset by storms or ants. Biblical up in here. But you're well otherwise, apart from being hot.
But apart from that, yes.
Yeah, you're nearly on holiday, aren't you?
Nearly on holiday. So nearly on holiday.
Oh, where are you going to go? What travels will you see?
Absolutely not. I'm going to lock my door, close the curtains, and not leave the flat for 9 days. It's going to be great.
How long will you last before you start texting us?
I can text you. Doesn't mean
text me.
I want to see you.
You just text just 2 fingers
Yeah.
the whole time,
So,
right? Yeah.
Hi, how you doing? Shall I come over? No. Shall we go to the pub? No.
We'll see. I'm just sitting there like waving a bottle of rosé at you on a sunny day. Like, yeah, no, I'm just going to sit here and drink this in the square.
I can drink rosé in here. There's delivery services that will bring booze to my house.
I know, but when you're just swinging it from the bottle while sitting on the floor,
Oh,
there's
it's epic.
no, that does sound quite good.
Yeah, it sounds great.
With a few, with more sausages.
More sausages.
More sausages.
Yeah.
And a camembert to dip.
To dip the sausages in.
To dip the sausages in, drizzle the wine on it.
I mean, that sounds
That's
fucking
when we
awesome.
start the intervention. We're
Yeah.
like, Nick, I don't think you're all right.
Right, okay, so that's great. That's this week's episode sorted out. So if Sinead, if you could leave. I've got some dipping to do.
Welcome to Dipping with Nick. Please don't tell me that's a euphemism for something. I don't want to find that out. Well, any poisonings this week?
Ants.
Ants.
Yes.
Are they poisoning you?
Well,
or
I
you?
don't know. I'm convinced one of them is in my eye.
Oh, is your eye itchy?
Yeah.
It's not. I can see.
I'm convinced it's an ant. Or possibly an entire colony, maybe.
I mean,
I
you
think
may be
well,
over-dramatising it slightly.
You don't know.
I do. I sort of do.
No, you don't.
Because I have eyes that function. But maybe my eyes are controlled by ants.
More precisely.
And I'm telling you, everything's fine.
It's like you should be lying to me.
I, for one, welcome our ant overlords. Well, speaking of being controlled by ants and drinking heavily through it, I think it is time for us to thank our delicious Patreon subscribers.
Well, they could be all ants.
It could be.
A big, massive ants in a coat.
Buzzing along.
Slightly upsetting.
That is a little bit up. I don't think they'd get away with it.
They're probably not. They're probably not.
What do they do for a face? Is it like mimic?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's terrifying.
So that's
Great.
a terrifying
Oh,
thing.
Jesus Christ.
So-
Okay. Please, well...
So that's upon us now. Thank you very much this week to Cherry Bell,
To Merlin Wizard Girl.
to Cheyenne,
To Russell Clark.
and to Speyside Sipper.
Ooh.
Yes, something. Yeah, intriguing.
Very nice. I like it. There's a good name. There's a nice
Yes.
mixture of names in
Like
there.
it, Wizard
Wizardy
Girl.
normally. I like it. Yeah.
Marvellous, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, you delicious, sexy Patreon subscribers. We had fun on Patreon this week. We had a hell of a tale from you.
Yes.
Yes, of a woman who solved her own murder.
From beyond the grave.
Beyond the grave. Big debate. Yes, it was that was one of the more compelling cases of is there another side?
Is there, yes, indeed.
Can
Is
you
there
be
something
communicated?
going on?
It was a really interesting case, short but interesting case
Many
where
curious.
yeah, it was not cut and dried at
Yeah,
all.
At all.
Yeah. If you want to know what the hell we're talking about, people, please do consider joining us on patreon.com/The Poisonous Cabinet, where you get extra bonus episodes from us every single week, as well as lots of other content, monthly episodes, depending on the tier you're on, behind the scenes footage, the book club that we have, and we meet up on Zoom and we drink and we talk about books. I mean, it's marvellous.
What more could you ask?
Well, please do ask for more stuff. We might do it on Patreon. We've discussed it. Nick has certain tiers that he would consider. You have to have deep pockets.
Yeah.
But Nick has no morals, so it's absolutely fine.
Absolutely not.
We also have a shout-out this week. A little birthday shout-out.
birthday.
Happy birthday to Victoria McPhee. You have been sent a lovely
Is she
birthday.
a nanny?
Is she?
Is she Emma Thompson in disguise?
She might be. She might be, and she might not want to talk about it, Nick. It's her birthday. Give her a day off, goddammit.
Happy birthday.
Victoria turns 26 on the 11th of July, so the day we're recording this was yesterday for when we're coming out. And if you're not listening to this in real time, she turned 26, people. She did well. But this is a shout-out from your twin sisters, the lovely Joya and Lucia, who wanted to say that they love you, how much they appreciate you, and they know you listen to the show. So happy birthday, Victoria.
Happy birthday.
Yay! And if you do want more shout-outs and birthday shout-outs, achievement shout-outs, just message us. We might do them.
Sinead just loves the shouting.
I do love a shouting.
Yes, any excuse to shout.
I love a regaling. If I could, I'd be a town crier, but I'm quite small.
Stilts. Big hat.
It's the lung capacity. I can yell very loudly.
I think that's just, that's practice.
No, that's fine. I am quite loud, but I would also need the inhaler every time I yelled. I'd be like, hear ye he. Everything's fine. Particularly me. I'm doing great. How are you guys? I don't care about you. My life is a town crier.
Yeah, perhaps not.
Well, Nick, are you ready?
God, no.
To drink cocktails and talk about poison?
Okay.
Or we could drink poison and talk about cocktails.
Okay.
Should we go for the first one?
Okay.
Should we go for the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hooray,
hooray, hooray. It is my story this week, and we can't possibly have a story without a cocktail in hand. As you know, dear listeners, every week we choose a secret ingredient that is inspired by the tale that we tell, and it will flavour our cocktail of the week. So, Nick, this week's secret ingredient is... Scotland.
Scotland. Quite broad.
It is.
As an ingredient.
Oh, sorry, Chicago was just really minuscule,
well, you've gone for
it?
an entire country.
Yeah, I have. And I stand by it, my friend.
At least I went for a city.
I could have done a city, but I wanted to hurt you.
It actually makes it quite easy.
I thought if I chose the city, then you'd throw stuff at me. Maybe.
Probably.
Yes. But
I
Scotland.
might throw stuff at you anyway.
But yes, Scotland. It is broad. There are many things. There are many drinks from Scotland. There are many places in Scotland, famously.
Yes.
It's famously known for its places.
For its places and its things.
It is. But with Scotland as your inspiration, your ingredient, what have you come up with?
There are so many options.
There are.
There's a classic iron brew martini. which is a thing. Well, it's not a thing. It's you Google it and it comes up, but no one else should ever be doing any of that.
A few people did suggest some iron brew cocktails. I was like, no,
none of that. There's a couple of haggis based cocktails.
See, I like a haggis. Do you like a haggis?
I'm not convinced, I must admit.
You are an offal fiend.
I know, I generally I do, but I must admit haggis is not
I don't mind the haggis, but it gives you terrible gas.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
awful.
I'm not a massive fan of the haggis, I have to say.
So no haggis cocktails.
So no haggis based cocktails either. So instead we are going to have the smoke of Scotland.
The smoke of Scotland.
Smoke of Scotland.
Okay, I like it.
Yes.
I'm glad you chose that.
Okay.
Because I may have a backup cocktail.
Okay.
Depending how drunk we get. If you're craving another cocktail, and I will explain more later, should we wish to do it. If we don't do it, all of this is cut.
Yes, all this is great stuff.
It's all great stuff. The smoke of Scotland. Well, that's giving me ideas and hints of stuff, but I'm not going to guess anymore. I think it is high time for us to Highland fling into the Poisoner's Captain kitchen and shake up a storm, so we'll see you in a minute.
We'll see you in a bit.
And we're back.
Hello.
So, Nick, the smoke of Scotland.
Smoke of Scotland.
Smoke of Scotland. Now I have high hopes. And I have thoughts.
Okay.
Well, it's Scotland, and it's known for its scotch, isn't it, Nick?
It is one of those things it's known for.
And it's known for the kind of scotch I like.
Yes.
Peaty.
And the type of scotch that I really don't.
Yeah, exactly. So you're now going, oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's in it. It could all be lies.
It could be true.
But it looks brown.
It's brown.
It's brown. It's very full as well.
It is also very full.
You've chosen a beautiful glass. And
Potentially the wrong
very
glass.
full. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so I'm going to gingerly lift this up.
And what also hasn't helped is that it's so fucking hot in here.
Yeah.
It's actually, there's probably slightly more dilution than there should be because the ice was just like melting.
Oh, right.
So there's probably a bit more water in there than there ideally should be.
We're not in kind of Malta levels of heat.
It's quite warm.
It's a little bit warm. It's what, 21 degrees or something.
That's hot.
That's death to anyone. Okay, but that's not going to hurt us anyway. Some extra dilution.
Death
okay,
for
so
an Englishman.
it's Hey, I like that smell. You're
Yeah,
gonna cry.
I don't.
Okay, well, let's
Okay.
dive in to see what else is going on. Merry Christmas.
Ooh.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
Ooh, that's interesting.
But you are oohing with happiness.
That's yeah. The rest of the stuff there has really mellowed the smokiness and the peatiness of that.
I mean, it's still pretty fucking smoky.
Oh, well, nowhere near as much as I was expecting.
But it's not smoky with the big hit of
Yeah.
whiskey behind it.
No,
if you
indeed.
just have like an
Oh no!
Islay
Oh
malt.
no! I could drink that.
Oh yay! Excellent.
I'm surprised and delighted.
Okay, well, first off, let's get it out of the way. There's an Islay malt. in
There's
this.
an Islay, yeah.
Is it the Ardbeg?
No, it's a Lafroig.
Oh, the Lefroy. Lefroy. Someone is going to call us, a Scottish person, going, you've been saying it wrong for ages.
No, I'm in France. I'm French.
Lefroy.
Lafroig.
Lefroy.
It's got le. It must be French.
Right. It's got la in it.
Okay, no, it must be French.
It's astonishing that you didn't do more French at school, isn't it, Nick? They made you stop. Right. Okay. So
I
it's
have got a D at GCSE. Thank you very much.
Well, I've got a A.
I don't care. And you can't pronounce Lafroig, right?
Good point, well made. I have my nerd French. You have your street smart
Exactly,
French.
my street French.
On the heady hills of Scotland, rocking up to a distillery. Do you speak French?
There's a lot of French influence in Scotland.
Yeah, there is.
So yeah. So shut up.
Okay. We'll see about that, shall we? Right, well, there's a fucking Islay in it.
There's some other stuff as
So
well.
a delicious Islay, but what else is in here? Okay, second sip. You're dead right about the dilution, because I like that, actually. The dilution has worked there. What else is in that? It's very mellow.
Oh, I really like that.
It's delicious.
That's 3 in a row that have been really good.
There's nothing really sharp in there, so I'm going to hazard
No.
there's no citrus.
Nope.
Is there a vermouth
There
in
is
there?
a vermouth.
Is it a dry vermouth?
It is a dry vermouth.
Yay, because I didn't think it had the sweetness
Yeah.
and didn't have the redness or anything.
No,
So, okay,
yeah,
so dry
no,
vermouth.
dry vermouth.
It's got a little hint of that. How many more?
There's 2 other things.
2 other things. Haggis.
Yes.
On the
Compressed
side.
and juiced.
You have to catch them in the wild, you see.
Exactly. And wring them out. Squeeze them really hard.
Anyway, right. Other things, something floral?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Flowers.
Be more specific.
I know. I was on a roll and I tanked out. Floral. So, oh shit, orange. But no, that's fruity. I'm going away from fruity
I would go away from fruity into floral.
into floral. Why of all the elderflower?
Yes.
Fuck. That was a complete guess, not based on what I can taste.
But yes,
I just went flowers.
But good guess.
No way.
Some Saint-Germain.
Oh my goodness. So.
See, French.
Wow. Fucking let it go, Nick. Oh.
Vermouth. French.
Is the fourth thing French as well?
No.
Is it bitters?
No, but it is bitter. But it's not bitter.
Oh, bitter. Okay, so, right, what's going to go with all of this?
And there is a small amount, in comparison to the rest of the things, there is a small amount of this.
Suze.
No. You are in the
Like
right area.
like a root, kind of gentian root.
You're in the right area, but not Suze.
So Benedictine?
No.
No.
Think harsher.
Harsher?
Yeah.
It's not chartreuse, is it?
No.
No.
No, that's sweet. That's sweeter.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's
it's okay, but no,
it's
it's not.
liquid
It's not.
pain.
It's not chartreuse.
Strager.
Nope.
I'm looking at it there, and I know it's not that. Sorry. Oh, goodness.
Sharper, bitterer.
Sharper bit. Campari. Is it clear? Is it?
Nope.
It's not clear.
Not
Yellowy.
clear. Nope.
Ready.
Ready brownie.
Oh. Campari. No, I keep saying that. I don't know. I don't give up. I give up.
Think artichoke.
Oh, Chinar. Oh, nice. I think artichoke. Well, that. You could have said vegetable.
I could have done.
You could, but,
But I didn't.
This would have been painful.
Because it was already getting
it
upsetting.
needed to end. Wow, what a combination.
Yeah.
So Islay malt.
Yeah, which is the vast majority of that is Islay malt.
Fair it is. A tiny bit of Chinar. Artichoke.
A little bit Chinar.
A little bit of artichoke.
A little bit of artichoke.
A little bit of dry vermouth.
Yeah.
And a little bit of elderflower.
So you've got 2 ounces of the Islay. So, and then half of dry vermouth, half of elderflower, and a sixth of the Chinar. So a really wee little dash at the end.
Whoa.
Stir together.
Well, that is a triumph.
Yeah, no, I'm pleased with that.
Such an odd combination of ingredients.
Really weird combination.
That
Who would have
works.
put, Islay malt and elderflower together?
Well, I guess you need a little bit of the floral to balance out the
exactly.
smoke, is
It's
it?
exactly what's balancing out the smokiness. That sweet floraliness is cutting through that, what I generally find quite unpleasant smokiness,
That's like a taste of a bonfire in the best possible way. But it's that crisp sort of smokiness, but it's not overpowering. Whereas a lot of the time with Islay, if you're not into them, it's a bit like if you're not into a Negroni, it would be like drinking a Negroni. Absolutely. That's what an Islay malt is if you're not a fan of that sort of thing.
Yep.
It smacks you in the face and you're like, no, I can't get past this. This gives you that smokiness and really
just mellows it out.
But it has that bonfirey taste if you want the taste of autumn.
That's good. That's
a
good one.
That is sensational. A resounding success for the Smoke of Scotland.
Yeah.
Well, with our drinks firmly in hand, we have captured smoke in our hands.
We have.
Are you ready for a story, Nick?
Oh, go on then.
Oh, good. Because the bulk of this week's tale does indeed take place in Scotland.
Oh, good. That's encouraging.
Yes, and
it's not a small excerpt takes place in Scotland.
If it was just incidentally, by the way, there was Scotland, then I think you would have thrown stuff at me.
Probably. I still might.
Maybe. But Scotland itself is a player.
Okay.
In the mayhem.
Right.
For this week, we are in Scotland.
Yes.
We have 2 murders.
Ooh.
One that involves like a red wedding style terms of scale and drama.
Nice, like it.
Without a wedding.
Oh.
The second murder involving explosions.
Nice.
An orchard. And some dressing gowns.
I mean, what a combo.
Now, what story could possibly contain such mania?
I mean, I dread to think.
Or should I say whose story? Because this week...
Is it mine?
You wish. You wish. And the further we get into this, you'll be like, I could definitely play this person. You will have the vibes. Because we are going to tell a portion of the amazing story of the murders that haunted Mary, Queen of Scots.
Oh. Oh. Who'd thought one of them would be a dressing gown?
Indeed. Way, Tudors! Technically she was a Stuart, but it's still Tudor and Elizabeth in England. Way! That she was there.
History.
Yes, history. Now, this is a period of history that I love, that I really enjoy, and to say that Mary Stuart, Mary Queen of Scots' story is fascinating is an understatement. This is one of the juiciest periods of political, regal, just familial, personal history in Europe of all time, really. Mary, Queen of Scotland, technically from when she was 6 days old in 1542 to her forced abdication in 1567, pulled from pillar to post between France, because you bloody love France.
Love it, yeah.
And there's going to be some France in
Excellent.
this. You'll love that. You can do the voices all the way through. But pulled between France, Scotland, and England as well, being a direct descendant of Henry VII, great-grandniece of Henry VIII, and a Catholic.
My God.
Ooh, a Catholic.
Burn them.
And, of course, famously a rival to, who was it? Who was it? Elizabeth I.
That'd be the one.
Now, I can't possibly tell her whole story in this episode.
That'd be a lot to cram in.
Even in several episodes. I can't do it. I'm not going to try to, but the rivalry between her and Good Queen Bess has been dramatised, romanticised and bastardised through the ages. And often that's what people focus on. They focus on, oh, look, 2 girls
My God.
were queen. And let's focus on which one was the prettiest. But I've had to put that aside.
Please do.
Maybe saving that for a Patreon episode.
Okay.
Because there's a lot to be said and there's a lot more. There's so many angles to her story that are fascinating. But this time I wanted to focus on what we do best, which is true crime.
Okay.
Which is...
I'm intrigued.
Murder. I love wittering on about the Tudor period, and some of you may not be here for the history of England's Game of Thrones. Maybe you are. If you are, then write to your local MP. That would be a weird PM's question time,
really
wouldn't
wouldn't
it?
it?
Will the right honourable gentleman please ask the Poisoners Cabinet to talk more about the Reformation and what people ate at Tudor banquets. Also sort out the NHS. So... No, that maybe if people want to on Patreon, I will do that. But we're going to hone in on how Mary Queen of Scots was involved, unintentionally or intentionally, in 2 of the most dramatic murders of regal history. Do you know anything about the murders that were associated with?
I must admit I don't.
I guess you think Mary Queen of Scots, Tudors, Elizabethan, her murders aplenty.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Everyone's murdering everyone.
Oh, everyone was stabbing everyone. No, there were 2 biggies.
Yeah.
Like, drama. Where you look at them and go, wow, let's talk about those for a bit.
Let's do that.
So 2 dramatic murders. She had thoughts about a third as well.
I'm sure she did.
A third that we have covered before.
She
has
had
feelings.
thoughts about many.
She has them. You can't really tell the story without telling a little bit of history and scene setting around it. So let me start by breaking down every single minute of Mary's childhood and then her teenage... I'm just kidding. Of course not. There will be a compressed summary of Dear Mary's life. But Mary is born in 1542. What? Why? What do you think I'm going to do? I'm not going to do the entire history of the Tudors.
Yes,
you won't let me. Mary, born in 1542, the only legitimate daughter of James V of Scotland. Interesting fact, you know why she's called Mary Queen of Scots rather than of Scotland?
No.
It was always you were the king or the queen of the people.
Oh, I
So
see.
the Scots,
Okay.
so it was of the people.
That makes sense.
So yeah, that was her title. But yeah, daughter of James V, legitimate, and of his French wife, Mary of Guise. Now the Guise family, very, very, very important, very influential. Yes. You could do an entire episode on the Guises. Her father had, by the time she was born, had suffered a horrible defeat at the Battle of Solway Moss. He had also maybe drunk some contaminated water. Maybe he had been poisoned. We don't know. But he's basically shitting himself to death.
Yeah.
People are kind of like, is it dysentery? Is it cholera? Did someone give him something?
It's all the same.
No. But he's on his deathbed. And his advisor is the equivalent of, come up to him, my liege, your wife has given birth. Oh, thank God. It's a girl. Oh, for fuck's sake. History, for a time, would have it that he died because he learned he was having a girl.
I mean, that'll do it.
It's not a great thing to have a daughter.
No, it's awful.
At the time.
One would imagine.
He hangs on for 6 days, hoping it'll turn into a boy.
Yes, because on the 7th day, girls turn into boys.
They grow penises. No, he dies 6 days later, and as I said, many people think it's the shame of producing a girl. But he allegedly said on his deathbed, I will try the accent here, excuse me, it can with a lass, it will gan with a lass. It began with a girl, and it will go with a girl or a woman. But he feels his dynasty is going to end with her. How wrong he was. Now, you might think it's sexist not to allow a 6-day-old baby to officially assume their duties as queen of running the country, but Mary is queen. She is queen.
Yes.
There is no dispute. They are like, she is queen of Scotland, but she's not doing a lot at the moment. Some sort of
regent may be in order.
Really, you think? There's lots of people scrapping and shoving because, of course, we're in a period of huge transition of Scotland. And again, we have to summarise very quickly. Protestant versus Catholic. Reformation has taken place. There are feelings abound.
Violent feelings.
Violent feelings of a lot of the nobles, a lot of the lords are Protestant. She is a Catholic. So everyone is vying for supremacy here. And they're not necessarily going to question her legitimacy as queen. She is the only legitimate daughter who survived, or the child of James V. Mary of Guise, her mother, would eventually stand in as regent, and everyone's getting into a massive scrap. Everyone's fighting and like just sort of tumbleweeding down the road. They're all fighting about who should rule and also who should marry the baby.
Yes, important things.
Baby needs to be married, and unlike Elizabeth, who would fight for her life in her childhood and fight for her right to be queen. And this is where people compare their lives together. Mary, queen, absolutely. Yeah. But she was crowned in 1543. She's one. And she is a prize. She has all the right bloodlines. She's Scottish, a bit of the French like her as well. Yeah. And she's a direct descendant of Henry VIII. So, yeah, she's going to really be in a prime position when he fucking dies. Henry VIII rocks up and said, she shall marry my son Edward, who's 5. Yes, Edward, who will be the future king of England for about 5 minutes. Scotland goes, no, we don't really like. Well, they talked about it for a while. There was a treaty, and they all signed it. And then Scotland went, I actually no, you're a shit. We don't like you. And he goes, well, I'll bloody well start a war about it. And the so-called rough wooing began.
Nice.
Do you know that?
I have heard that term before.
I think it's actually an 8-year war. The rough wooing. It was all about Mary Queen of Scots needs to marry Edward because gotta get this girl under English control. Mary of Guise, in the meantime, is like, well, she's in danger. Clearly, she's now about 5, and she reaches out to the French, to King Henry II of France, and says, "Can you please?" He agrees, and he says, "I will send ships. I will send a show of strength to Henry VIII and say, no, she's coming to France. Back the fuck off, mate." And it works. She goes to France. And Henry II is like, okay, fine, but she's now got to marry my son. So she's got to marry the Dauphin of France, who will be the King of France. And
it's not a bad match.
It's not a bad match, but she's a queen.
Yeah.
She's a queen. And she doesn't know, she's 5.
Yes. We're all sitting there going, I'm a queen.
She can fucking say it if she likes. She's like, I am not even a princess. I am a queen, bitches. She will know this as she's going over on the boat like, what the fuck is going on? But she's a queen and she's going to be married to the future king of France, so she's only ever going to be a consort. So it's a bit of a kick in the chops, really, as in you're going to be subservient to France. But they agree because otherwise she's possibly dead in England.
Doesn't have much great deal of choice.
So she goes over and she is betrothed to Francis, the Dauphin, who was the literal snivelling prince. It was reported he constantly had a running nose.
Nice.
Yeah, and he stuttered. He was very short, but he is under...
Short, my God.
Short. Well, yeah. Turns out Mary Queen of Scots is going to be really fucking tall. Yeah. But Francis is fine because he's under the watchful eye of another incredible figure from history, Catherine de Medici.
Yeah.
Yep. Mary will go to the French court and be married to Francis when she's about 15, 16, but she becomes a queen consort and she is under the eye of Catherine de Medici. Now, there are some that say Catherine de Medici ignored her, didn't want anything to do with her, others where she looked after her. She was a mother figure to her with all of her servants around her and everything, and taught her how to please her son. You are going to be a queen. This is a woman who was all about power. Oh, I'd missed one line out there. Francis, dear old Francis, his runny nose and his short. Balls hadn't dropped either.
Oh, dear.
I don't know when they measured these.
Yes,
He's 5, his balls haven't dropped. Apparently they didn't. I don't think they actually fully distended. That was a rumour that was said about him. Very high voice. In the meantime, in England, Henry VIII had died.
No.
Died. And there's a whole thing with Edward VI, and then Lady Jane Grey comes in for 6 seconds.
For not long.
For not long. She has a Netflix series, it's fine.
Really bad.
Have you watched it?
I've watched the first episode.
I've not.
And then I went, no.
I am not a fan of Lady Jane Grey's story.
No.
I'm just going to say it. It's overly romanticised.
It really
and it's
very much is.
It's very interesting to read. I don't want a whole series about it because it's just her going, I could be Queen of England. And everyone goes, well, no, no. Bloody Mary's more interesting. But, yes, there's all of that. Third act of Succession. The first two, they weren't a hit.
No.
The Catholic come back with Bloody Mary, and then the lot of the toasting of the Protestants. But with Bloody Mary's death, Mary the First's death, who is next in line for the throne? Ultimately, it will be Elizabeth I. That is a very concise way of explaining that whole thing. But it's important to note that Mary Stuart, Mary Queen of Scots, is seen as the next Queen of England because people want a Catholic. Back in France, Francois II. Well, Francois has been crowned king after his dad died in a jousting accident, and then he was king. Whee! But then he dies. Oh, no way. And then Catherine de Medici. That's her moment to shine because she's like, oh, my son's dead. Just move his corpse out of the way while I now come into the fore.
I'm queen of everything.
She is. She has a younger son, and she's going to, as we've said before, just basically... You go away, Mary Queen of Scots, like knocking her out of the way. So Mary Queen of Scots ends up going back to Scotland there. Catherine de Medici is very praising of Mary Queen of Scots, writes about her potential and compliments her beauty, her intelligence, her poise. So when she arrives back in Scotland, she's sort of got a little bit of notoriety behind her, and with the finest fabrics from France. Oh, gorgeous things. She's bringing gifts.
I mean, the French court, they generally went for it.
Oh, yeah.
So
she is...
They're going to get some fancy shit.
Super stylish. Actually, couldn't fit it into the story, but embroidery and her fashion... huge part of Mary Queen of Scots' lives. There's a great book, and the name of the author has gone out of my head, but there's a really good book all about how she used embroidery through her life to convey messages, how the Elizabethans, the Tudors, the Stuarts would do this. Really, really interesting. I'll put it into the episode notes. But she arrives. Not only has she brought a lot of swag with her, but she is striking. 18 years old, 5'11". And that is
that's lofty.
That's lofty. She a lofty lady. Beautiful auburn hair, her skin shining and clear. I will again reiterate, much is made out of beauty through the ages, and it's always stood up in a comparison against Elizabeth I, which I don't think is necessarily fair, but it's documented of how beautiful she is. Is that a kind of weapon to sting Elizabeth with?
What else has that lady got?
What else has she got?
Yes.
She might be powerful and strong,
but is she pretty?
Yeah. When she gets back to Scotland, she's not as popular as she might have hoped. Catholic as well, and bit fucking French. People would always argue later on, well, Mary Queen of Scots would only have spoken French. She could speak fluent French. She could speak in a French accent. She could speak fluent English.
Yeah.
And she could also speak in a Scottish brogue as well. So she was fine. Leave her alone. But she is queen and she wants power. She wants to get the hell on with it. Her half-brother, James Stuart, has been moving all the chess pieces around in her absence. He really wants to be king.
Oh, yes.
And he is a kind of a thorn in her side, even though he sort of has his arm around her for the rest of her life. She makes all the attempts that she can to mediate between the Protestants and the Catholics. And it was commented on by the wonderful historian Kate Lister in some of her writings and sort of comments about Mary Queen of Scots that she did the same sort of things that Elizabeth I did. But Mary Queen of Scots doesn't get the praise for it, whereas Elizabeth did. You know, it's like she's trying to mediate and everyone's going, no, you're just a horrible girl. No, we don't want to listen to you. Whereas when Elizabeth did it, it was, oh my God, didn't she bring together a nation? Not easily, obviously. It's, again, highly, highly romanticised there. So Mary, she's also trying to fight off people trying to put her in a sack. Kidnap attempts around the clock. Everyone wants to kidnap her because they don't want to kill her outright. They can't. She's the queen.
Yeah.
But they're like, we'll give her away. And like, could you just make this lord this person? And also I'll marry you, or I'll try and do all these things to try and control the queen. So it's a stressful life. Mary goes, you know what? I will marry. I am going to marry. She's keen to marry. She starts hunting around for a suitable match. Much has been made by various historians over the years is that she felt that marriage was a way to secure her position.
Well, she needs an heir, really, doesn't she?
She does need an heir. People keep telling her she needs an heir. And she wants safety and she wants security.
Yeah.
You know, as a girl who's been pushed around all her life, she chooses that a man will bring me stability.
Stability.
Lizzie doesn't. Lizzie dabbles, but is very much like, no. It's very convenient to look at that with modern eyes, but a very different situation back then. But she believes in the power of marriage. She starts asking around about suitable matches. She rejects a few chaps, Scottish lords. They're going to be more problems than they're worth because,
she's above that.
She is above that. And like, well, no, she could marry a Protestant. She's not opposed to marrying a Protestant, but they're just very annoying and they're very sort of movers and shakers. And she is going to stand her ground here. She will look at Protestants for political reasons. But she writes to Elizabeth I and asks for recommendations on who she should marry. They have corresponded over the years and their relationship will be famously, you know, up and down. They would never meet as well. Don't believe the films. They never met. She asks for a potential match and says, Lizzie, darling, Lizzie, my babe, bestie, who should I marry? And good Queen Bess says, oh, I know, perfect man for you. Why don't you marry Lord Robert Dudley?
Okay.
Yes. Now, you'll need to hark back to episode 189 of The Poisoner's Cabinet because Mary is going, Dudley.
Really?
Dudley, your favourite, famously a traitor, a commoner. You've been having sex with him quite a bit. And he also was a murderer, we all think at this point. Yes, Robert Dudley, who was accused of murdering his wife, Amy Robsart, who fell down the stairs. Did she fall or was she pushed?
Fall? Who knows?
Yes. Dudley's wife, in 1560, she fell down the stairs, and Mary's like, this was the best that you could pluck out? The guy that you've been sleeping with and killed his wife and is a comment. Just all awful.
Yeah, maybe
That's, Elizabeth's like, no, it's fine. We'll all live together. As we mentioned in the episode, she wanted a menage a trois, what we would call a menage a trois. Come and live with me in court. Obviously, get her under control, get her into the court, and sleep with my boyfriend, and then we'll all hang out together. It'll be absolutely fine.
What could possibly go wrong there?
Yeah, and then she sort of says to her as well, if you do this, I will name you as my heir, because Elizabeth is not going to marry and she's not going to have kids. You know, she's made it pretty clear by this stage. So, but you can be my heir. It's like, no, I don't care how big a schlong is, it's not happening. Good for you, Mary. You turned down that train wreck. She says, no, I'm going to marry Lord Darnley. And anyone who knows the history is now going, oh, for fuck's sake. Sweet Jesus. Henry Lord Darnley. Okay, her English-born half-cousin. So he's got good standing. He's part English. Half-cousin, descendants from Mary Tudor. Okay, good bloodline. He's 6 foot. A good dancer.
Wow, there we go.
Charming. He's pretty. And he's pretty. Apparently, on their first meeting, Her Majesty took well with him and said that he was the lustiest and best proportioned long man that she had seen.
What more could you ask for?
I know, she's going to be in a sea of short kings here. Figuratively and literally, yes. He's a good power play on paper as well, particularly as others have drawn on it and historians have drawn that Elizabeth has put her favourite in front of her. And Mary feels very slighted by this. And she's like, okay, fine, I will choose someone who is also in line for succession, roundabout way. I've got more power, but he could as well. This is a power play. Us two together. So fuck you, Lizzie. Our kids will be a threat. And Elizabeth was not happy about it. She was very, very angry. Her little, scheme of them all living together in a lovely house did not work. The trouble is that while pretty and long in every, there's lots of gestures in all regards, much is romanticized about their meeting and like the love affair that they had at the beginning, and yet probably did fall very much in lust, and it was a good match at the start. But Darnley is arrogant, he's conniving, he is a horrible person, loves a drink, loves to get into a fight, has a fair few STDs, and was as weak and changeable as the weather when it came to whose side he was on to further his political standing.
Not ideal, really.
It really isn't. And any of the books and films and stuff like that portray Darnley as dashing at the start. He is just a coward. He is horrible, and he will do horrible things all of his life just for his own gain, and he doesn't even follow them through. But he's quite hot and he's tall. God damn it, why do these people always get ahead?
Yeah, it always helps.
His life with the Queen would be marked by how many times he tried to betray her and win power from her, and she still tolerated him. The dream had been that he wanted to co-rule with Mary, and that is an official request, and she can grant that. It's like, we should be co-rule. I'm not going to be consort, I want to be co-rulers. And Mary goes, well, no.
No, it's mine.
Prove it. Prove it in so many words. He has been a lover and a confidant of hers, but he is acting like a dick in front of her, in front of the court, to lords, and he's demanding power from her, and she's got cojones, and she's like, no, I won't until you absolutely prove that you are up to this job. And he's not. And due to his boorish behaviour in court, there are a couple of incidents that are sort of reported, but the details which have never been revealed. And it's so bad that people couldn't write it down. They said we couldn't possibly write it down. Couldn't possibly write it down.
Do write it down. Try and write it down.
Try, please, try. Well, people have theories. There's a violent streak to him.
Yeah.
Allegedly, he slapped her in front of people. You don't slap the Queen.
You don't slap the Queen.
She sort of passed it off and allowed it. He would fight with people. She was not that happy with it. But then there's another problem. He was a ladies' man. Yeah. He was also a man's man. Yeah. He was called a great cock chick.
Okay.
Which is a weird phrase.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one, I must say.
And in fact, actually, a lot of the reports I was looking through, they were like, oh, he was called this. And I was like, does anyone actually just like tried to pick that apart? But it was like, oh, he liked the dick. They've just taken it as he quite enjoyed.
Fair enough.
A bit of penis. Yeah, he was also said to be addicted to base and unmanly pleasures.
Who isn't?
There's a whole very interesting, again, subsection on sexuality in the Tudor period, that it's not defined the way we define things. Gay and lesbian, everything.
Just crack on.
No definition, but there are laws that you can't be a sodomite, but that applies to men and women as well as men and men, and women and women, and all of that. So it's a very muddy area, but also don't shag men in front of the Queen, which is apparently what happened.
Yes, that'd probably be one of the top rules, I would imagine.
Yes, don't do that. It's not allowed. The biggest rumour all revolves around the Queen's favourite at court, her private secretary, David Rizzio. Now, he's an Italian Catholic courtier, originally from Italy. He had travelled over to England, hoping to get a position at court. Very interesting, long history, but intelligent man, musician and a singer, and manages to get into Mary's court, becomes her private secretary, and they are very close. And she is very fond of him. He's very intelligent. He's very influential. He is a Catholic, and obviously, from Italy. Okay, and that's quite close to the Pope. We're worried.
Where the Pope's from.
That's where the Pope's from. He must know him. Some people write it like that. He must know the Pope.
He knows the Pope.
Maybe he did.
You never know.
But he has her ear, and he is an influence, and they are great friends. Though this whole story then gets muddied because she is lavishing him with gifts and fabrics, and they lived in opulence at Holy Road House in Edinburgh. His quarters are apparently surrounded by pistols, swords, fine jewels, and clothes. It's absolutely beautiful. And soon rumours are circulating, is Rizzio a bit too close to the Queen? The Queen by now is pregnant.
Oh. That involves getting quite close.
And things have sort of soured between her and Darnley. So has Rizzio impregnated the Queen. But then there's the flip side of that, is where the Queen doesn't like Darnley because he's been having an affair with Rizzio.
It's very complicated.
Yep. It was said that Rizzio and Darnley were very close to the point where they shared a bed. They would speak into long hours into the night. And it was implied that they had been lovers. Maybe things had soured where Rizzio was like, no, I'm going to be closer to the Queen. Don't like you anymore. All of this sort of power play. Is the Queen angry at Darnley because he's having an affair with a man? And that's one of the incidents. She may have walked in on him doing things that were not godly. So you've got this triangle here, which is not good. For them.
Probably, well, for Rizzio, it's probably quite fun.
Rizzio's having a great time.
He's having a grand old time.
Rizzio is bling to bling. He is covered in jewels and diamonds. He's getting it 7 ways from Sunday.
He's having a grand old time.
He's having a wonderful time. But it ends up Darnley entering into a plot with Scottish lords, various lords, who want to lessen Mary's power. And they want to make a very decisive action. And this is what will lead to the first murder of our story. On Saturday the 9th of March 1566, Mary is 6 months pregnant and she sits down to dinner in Holyrood House with Rizzio and a small group of her courtiers, her friends. These are in her private chambers. It's not quite a banquet, but they are having a small dinner. It's all very nice, lovely. Darnley's not there. At around 8 p.m, Lord Darnley enters the chamber and he is swiftly followed by 80 men.
80?
80.
Okay, that's a lot of men.
That's a lot of men.
Yeah.
That's a lot of men. He's not going, you know what, I've got a great idea for tonight.
Rizzio's going, ha ha ha! Well, let's get the party started.
Like sprucing himself up. Oh, no. The 80 men, led apparently by Lord Ruthven, who is a lord at the time, and there's been some brilliant writing, and again, fictionalizations of this scene, which have Ruthven. He's quite old, but he turns up in armour.
Okay.
He turns up in a suit of armour. And
clanking up the stairs.
Pretty much, yeah. You can picture it however you want. The great writer, Denise Mina, who is a crime writer, she has written a short book of this scene called Rizzio, and I urge people to read it, but paints this wonderful scene and basically has, in her version, Ruthven is coming up the stairs like Don Quixote, sort of clanking with old shit on. But he does come in a suit of armour and everyone's like, what the fuck are you wearing?
Yeah.
What? Who are you? Why? But 80 men come in and they levy attacks and slanders at Rizzio. As Ruthven says, you have slandered the Queen. And Mary is there 6 months pregnant and saying, no, he hasn't. He's my guest. He is my friend. What are you doing here? And is turning to Darnley in so many words. Why are these people here? And Darnley is saying nothing. He is standing by the Queen. The 80 men say, we want Rizzio. We're taking him out. Mary tries to protect him. He is behind the Queen at some point, whether he runs behind her or whether she stands there and says, you will not take him. But there's 80 of them. They aim a pistol at the Queen. They have their daggers drawn.
Okay.
And they drag Rizzio out of the room into an accompanying chamber, and all 80 men stab him. And he is stabbed 57 times, allegedly. Even after he is dead, they all take turns in stabbing him.
There we go.
You know, 57, 80, I don't know. Some people didn't do it, I don't know. But
Don't murder in the Orient Express.
It is exactly that. I thought that at the time. It is a statement. Murder of the... That just gave away the plot, by the way. Anyone's just reading that and enjoying it, getting to the last bit. I wonder how... Oh, for fuck's sake! Now, this is dramatic for us to tell. Imagine watching that as Mary, 6 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
she's
ideal.
the Queen.
Also the Queen. Going, for fuck's sake, stop this. I'm the fucking Queen.
Yeah. But
and everyone ignoring her.
The allegation is that they are just spouting lies of saying, this man has insulted you, your majesty, and I cannot stand idly by. In so many words, the knights, the lords are saying, we must defend your honour. And she's like, are you absolutely crazy? No. This sort of battle, and they drag him out and they kill him. Now, why do they do this? Is he an influence on her because they're best friends? Is it that Darnley is like, he knows too many secrets because I've been sleeping with him? Or Darnley's like, he is the father of that child.
And he's also a foreigner.
And not so much of a thing. Not so much of a thing. I mean, yes, a little bit of like, also he's a foreigner. Meh. He's a Catholic. Meh. Meh. You know, Darnley's a Protestant, so he's just like, meh. He just wants to strengthen his position. The reason this attack also takes place in front of the Queen is that it's been orchestrated on the off chance that the Queen will miscarry.
That's rude.
They want to frighten her in order that she will miscarry, because Darnley is like, well, if it's not my son, and even if it is, the child will be in line for the throne ahead of me. So if something happens to Mary later on, maybe I'll be in line. And he has also made a pact with these lords, and he's talked to them, and they have sort of assured him, like, oh yeah, definitely, we will put you first in line.
Absolutely.
Apparently he'd originally been planned to kill at a tennis match.
Okay.
Yes, they were going to kill him at tennis. Like, fuck it, that wasn't your serve. I don't care. But then they specifically did this, no, Mary has to watch, so there'll be a chance of her miscarrying. She doesn't. Rizzio is murdered brutally. They strip him of all his fine clothes and jewels. They kick his body down the spiral staircase. He will later be tossed into an unmarked grave. After this has happened, Ruthven, apparently, who is in his armour, sort of staggers up to the Queen and sort of goes, oh, I'm really tired. Can I have some wine?
You can fuck the fuck off.
And speaking of wine, I think that's time for a drink.
God, yes. A lot of drama.
Nick,
Yeah,
we have our drinks,
we do.
but I've made you something else.
You've made a new one.
Because, given that we're talking about the Mary Queen of Scots,
Yes.
I thought we should make a Mary Queen of Scots.
Okay.
I've never had it before.
Right.
It has got interesting ingredients,
Okay.
but just know that I love you. And this is my gift to you.
Am I going to die horribly?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I have not chosen something that is, oh my god, it's so great. It should work,
Okay.
but I ask you to try it.
Okay, I'm intrigued. We'll give it a go.
Hopefully you won't kill me, but
Okay.
there we are. Yours is a bit bigger than mine, so...
So same.
Right. What are you getting?
Okay. Well, it's quite clean.
Mm.
Right. Then we're going to go for it.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Well, that's quite nice.
I thought you'd like it.
Is there a Strager in there?
No.
Yellow chartreuse.
No.
Well, there's something.
Yeah, there is.
Is there green chartreuse?
There is.
Okay, I knew there was some. I was looking for just from the colour. I thought, is it a yellowy one? But I know there's definitely some herbally sweetness going on in there that I thought.
And this is why I love you, because
Yeah.
look what I made.
This is why you gave me the larger portion.
But there's two other things in there.
They're gin.
Nope.
See, I don't like this. I don't like this being reversed. This is not how the world should be.
Because this is what I go through every week. And it's like, oh, it's this. There's never been anything like that in the world. Shut up.
It proves how little I know about cocktails apart from drinking them.
All right, go with your nose and go with your palate, and then I'll start giving you hints.
Is there something fruity?
No.
No. Is there vermouth?
No.
Oh shit! I'm terrible at this. Is it just green chartreuse in a glass?
It's just green chartreuse. You've never tasted it like this before. Okay, it's called Mary Queen of Scots.
Is there scotch in there?
Yes, there is a blended scotch in there.
Blended scotch.
Right. And there's one other thing.
Is it an obvious thing?
No, it is not something
Okay.
we use regularly at all, but you've got to think Scotland.
Got to think Scotland.
Mm-hmm. You know, it gets better, actually, with sips.
I mean,
think
I'm enjoying this, I have to say.
Yeah. I'm going to think Highlands.
Cows. Cow juice.
There's
No.
cows in
There's
it.
cows.
Yeah, that's
Many-
it. You've
many
nailed
cows.
it. Okay, so think Highlands, think of nature.
Okay. Is there something flowery?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I'm struggling.
Drambuie.
Oh yeah. Okay. Scottish. Yes. Okay.
So,
fair.
so Drambuie is Scottish. It's got heather and honey.
Yes. Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And secret Scottish
Is
spices.
it orangey Drambuie as well?
Well, I'm going to get the bottle. Let me just double check.
That's actually damn nice.
It has heather, honey, herbs and spices.
Herbs and spices. And some green chartreuse.
And some. I have literally made you something with green chartreuse.
I mean,
voluntarily.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's actually really nice.
It's not bad, is
It's a
it?
good one.
I don't mind it. The first sip, I nearly pulled my eyes out. Oh, yeah. But
I mean, it's pokey.
this is on different.
Yeah,
It's Mary Queen of
I can
Scots. And I thought, green chartreuse, he needs to have this in his life.
I do. And that's damn tasty.
There you go, Nick.
Nicely done.
Well, with the Mary Queen of Scots,
Yeah.
and also the remnants of the Smoke of Scotland, and some fizz.
And the bottle of fizz we've just finished as well.
Hey, we haven't drunk all of it yet. Would you like to carry on with the story?
we probably should.
Now, as I said, we have just left the murder scene of David Rizzio, this brutal, brutal murder, which the purpose of which was not only to frighten Mary and to get a rival out of the way and potentially give her a miscarriage, but it was also to kidnap her. The lords wanted to kill Rizzio and with Darnley's help, kidnap her, squirrel her away, which is what she had been fighting all of her life, and can gain control of her heir, whoever was born, and return to Protestant rule, hopefully. Mary is wily, though, and she is going to have conversation with Darnley. The two of them are going to be kind of sequestered, as it were, imprisoned in their rooms before they are taken away. Darnley himself is starting to waver. This is how changeable he is. He has helped to orchestrate this entire murder, this horrible incident, but seeing the actions of the lords seems to make him waver. As like, actually, are they gonna make me king? Maybe I don't know about that. Am I gonna have a position of power because they've just murdered a man? And like, maybe they'll murder me too. He starts to waver, and there's other reports that Mary gets hold of him and whispers in his ear and uses her feminine charms and beguiles him with soothing words, which I think is a bit romanticised there. Her probably getting him by the lapels going, they will fucking kill you.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Manages to convince him that they need to escape together. And they do. There's this whole sort of protracted thing of them kind of getting away and going to another castle and another castle and getting back to Edinburgh. His fate is pretty much sealed, though.
Yeah.
This incident not gone down well with Mary.
No, I can imagine not.
No, and the people who support her, and when I say people who support her, there are the people, the Catholics who are on her side, and also the Protestants who are kind of behind her, but also like, we definitely support you, Mary. We really want to be in control here, actually. So they will use any situation to their advantage. They flee to Dunbar Castle, eventually get back to Edinburgh, and they see off their rivals. And in time for Mary's son to be born, James, the 6th of Scotland. In future, he will be known as something else as well.
Will indeed.
He will have the dual title. Born in 1566. Their marriage is not in a good place. No, not
I
so
can
much.
imagine not.
Darnley did not attend the christening of his son. He was afraid that he'd be killed there. He decides to go and hide out in Glasgow. Mary has already started talking to her advisors away from Darnley about the problem with her husband, about what she can do. She can't divorce him. Yeah. She's Catholic. That ain't gonna happen.
That ain't gonna work.
Happen. It's a roundabout way that people are like, don't worry, we'll take care of it.
We'll sort it out.
We'll sort it out. Her half-brother, the lords around her, they're sort of like, they'll sort it out. There are some people who go, Mary goes, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Others who go, she did nothing at all.
Yeah, while they're polishing and sharpening their swords.
Just getting an axe. Someone's brought a machine gun. What the fuck is that? It's an early prototype that I'm working on. You know what? Okay, fine. You know what? Screw you. Be subtle. Fine. But what does happen, they do all end up, like, there's several men who do end up in a tavern at one point and all write a document. There's a lot of signing of documents at this time as well, going, we're all agreed that we're going to kill a guy, but also let's make a whole contract about it that we've all witnessed this.
Don't write it down.
Well, they do, and then they just burn it and they just throw it away going, oh, we definitely signed something. There's a lot of admin. There's a lot of admin to killing people. Love it so much. It's like, we've decided, let's go, but first let's write it down, absolutely. And who was here? Right, okay. Did you bring cakes? Who's doing the minutes? One of the plotters allegedly later confessed that it was thought expedient and most profitable for the Commonwealth that such a young fool and proud tyrant should not reign or bear rule over them, and that he should be put off by one way or another, and whoever should take the deed in hand or do it, they should defend.
Fair enough.
Okay. So we're all agreed, he dies. Darnley had, in this interim period, it's about a year after the Rizzio murder, he developed a fever, and some people think it was the poison.
It was the poison fever.
People go, oh, was the poison? Something slipped in there, because loads of people are trying to kill him now. Like, maybe he'd been poisoned, and most people think it was about the old syphilis.
No.
Syphilis had taken hold.
Well, he's shagging most people in Scotland.
Everybody.
So, yes.
Very
so he's picked
happily.
up something somewhere.
Yeah. I don't think we should rule out poison. Not just because of the poisonous cabinet. But plenty of people do think...
It's an option.
Yeah. I think loads of people wrote off, you know, poisonings as syphilis or cholera or, I don't know, the attack of the Bloods or something. Mary moved Darnley to a house which was at the Abbey of Kirk-o-Field, which is in Edinburgh. It's basically the opposite end of where Holyrood House is. And so there's a house there which is in the old Abbey Kirk-o-Field, and he's there to recover. And she visits him every day. She does visit him all the time. And on the 9th of February, 1567, she visits him before she's attending a wedding party at Holyrood House. And she does turn up seeing him in men's clothing. because apparently it's a fancy dress kind of masquerade thing.
Okay.
And then there's also other reports that she used to wear men's clothing so she could walk around the town a bit.
Fair enough.
She's a big, tall lady.
Yeah.
You know, she can get away with it. And you can go out and, you know, as another one. It's like, oh, yeah, you can go down the pub, go and do a dance and have a revelry and do a bit of shaggy shag.
At that point, you might discover that he's not a man.
So apparently it was apparel she loved often to be in and dancing secretly with the king, her husband, and going into mass at night through the street. But she's like, I know you're sick, but I'm still going to totally go out. And she leaves him in his bed. I go, you have a nice sleep. You have a nice sleep.
You have a snooze.
Off I go. Off I go. And off she goes into the night. A few hours later, in the early hours of the 10th of February, very big explosion in Edinburgh. Big explosion. The house that Darnley was staying in, it's not there anymore.
It's gone.
It's just rubble. Witnesses attested to, and I know it's their phrasing at the time, that the house literally shot up in the air.
Nice.
And then rained down and rubble. Apparently, the way it's written, there are so many witness reports of this incident, and it is farcical. The way they're all apparently leaning out of windows, unaffected by a bombing. This house explodes and none of them are hit by debris
no shattered windows or anything
none
like
of that. None of that. No, windows. Oh, fancy. Fuck you.
It's a fancy place.
It's a fancy place. Yeah, everything's shot up in the air like, oh no, gas explosion. No, we don't have gas. What is this? I don't know. Gas. I have machine gun. I don't know.
Peasant explosion.
Peasant explosion. They're very gassy. No, it'll be all that gunpowder that was in the cellar of that house.
I mean, that'll do it.
Yeah. Why did they have gunpowder in there? I mean, there were 11 men running up and down the street the whole time.
With barrels.
Pretty much the whole time before the house blew up.
Wearing Guy Fawkes masks.
Very not hiding themselves at all. Badly, like, chaotically running to the point where neighbours were leaning out the window going, what are you doing here? And they just went, and ran away and they didn't say anything.
Subtle.
Jostling each other.
Skilled operatives here, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Smooth operators. But the housey blowy uppy. Okay, well, Darnley must be dead, but where is his body? His body...
in a billion pieces by the sounds of it.
No, Nick. No, it's not. It's not. It's not in the house. It's found in the orchard.
Oh.
Next to the house, a little bit further down from the house, and part of the gardens. Next to his servant, and it's not affected by any explosion or gunpowder. Him and his servant lay in the orchard, and next to them there was a rope, a chair, a knife, 2 dressing gowns, and they were very much dead. It was like Cluedo.
It really is.
It really is.
Darnley was found in the orchard with an apple.
In places.
Was killed by a dressing gown.
You know how we know this? There is a sketch.
Nice.
Of it. There is a picture of this from the time where someone drew and they said of the houses and everything around it, and they did this really big expanded scene of Darnley and his servant lying dead in the orchard, and they drew the 2 dressing gowns, the chair, the knife and the rope next to it.
Right.
So we have clues. We have
Yeah,
clues.
we really do.
But Darnley, no signs of explosion, so his body wasn't flung from the building.
Yeah.
What they did work out was that he'd been strangled.
Well, chair on a rope in the tree. Is that looking like a hanging?
Well, people have theories.
Yeah, I'm sure.
People have thoughts. They seem to. People say they were smothered, him and the servant, either smothered or strangled. So people think, okay, rope, chair, tree, hanged.
Yeah.
One in front of the other, or were they trying to escape from the house, seeing the very loud, noisy men running up and down the street?
Was this at night?
It was.
So in dressing gowns?
Yeah,
makes
dressing
sense.
gowns. Yeah, had their dressing gowns or cloaks on. Yeah. Did they climb down, use the rope and the chair to climb down to escape? Run, held up at knife point, and then strangly, smothery. In the orchard. It's not a very nice way of saying it, I know, but I don't know why they took the chair with them.
That's an interesting thing, because if I need to escape this house, so I'm going to go out of the house onto a tree or use my rope.
Well, run across to the orchard.
Run across the orchard.
Yeah, it's the gardens, it's the grounds. Yeah.
So yes, so why would there be a chair?
Why would they take the chair with them? If they climbed out of the building, why would they
take a chair?
Well, maybe it's a weapon. Maybe they thought they were going to fight a lion and they could use the rope as a whip.
Yes, maybe not.
But why would a chair be there?
Perhaps someone enjoys sitting under that tree.
Maybe.
Maybe it's a nice tree.
I wish to go to my father's tree.
To sit under and read a nice book.
And not when there's an explosion going on.
No, I mean, that was earlier in the day. The chair now is entirely coincidental. The chair has been left there. But earlier in the day, someone was sitting there reading a nice book, drawing a picture of the tree, sitting on their chair.
Right. And that's where they were killed.
And the chair is just there.
The chair is a red herring.
The chair is
exactly.
The chair is an entire red herring.
What about the rope?
Nothing
Was
to do.
They were strangled by that.
Well, one was being strangled. One must assume a rope has been involved, potentially.
Yeah. Well, because there are people between strangled and smothered. Like, was it the cloth that smothered the...
Is one smothered by the dressing gown?
I think you can.
Oh, you probably
Bundle
could.
it up.
No, I'm sure you could. But it seems a strange choice.
Yeah, but the fucking chair is completely plausible to you, apparently.
No, the chair's, as we said, have we discovered the chair is a red herring? Yeah. It's entirely irrelevant.
But maybe they did set up the scene. Like, years from now, a board game will be invented. And I shall put a chair and a thing. This will turn into an iron at some point. No, that's Monopoly, isn't it?
Yes.
You know what we need? A candelabra.
And then I'm going to buy Aldken Roast.
It's a compelling scene. You see why isn't this talked about more? Darnley is dead with his servant, and they blew up the house. The other thing is that the huge explosion in the house, and then he is smothered or strangled in the orchard, and there's apparently just no signs of damage to him. Like, he is out of the house already.
Well, Monopoly does get the blood up.
Flipping the fucking table.
Have you played Monopoly at Christmas? So it can end violently.
Apparently so. This was the first instance of it. Mary Queen of Scots was like, I didn't ask for any of this, but this has been incredibly convenient. But he did.
But he did.
He did. We could surmise about this, and please weigh in, people. But yeah, Darnley has been killed. He has been murdered. And all jokes aside, I didn't promise this, but for the time being, if you're going to murder someone and you're going to blow the shit out of a house, why not make it look like he died in the explosion?
Well, there is that, yes.
Why make it so obvious that he has died of murder? He has clearly been strangled with props.
Well, I mean, I imagine this is so the servant is also dead. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that obviously I think that was probably the intention, was that he would get blown up and be a casualty of the explosion.
Yeah.
But perhaps he was having a rendezvous with a servant in the orchard. And the house,
I hadn't even thought of that.
The house blew up, and he's not there. He's shagging a servant over a chair in the orchard.
They brought a chair
Brought the chair. Well, the chair has been there all along, as we've established.
That's his favourite reading and shagging chair.
Exactly.
So the chair shall never be moved from the orchard. No. Why? Just leave it there.
I mean, is it a garden lounge chair? No, you haven't been descriptive about what the chair is. Is it a dining chair? Is it a sofa?
It's a fucking chair. It's a Tudor chair.
So perhaps it's a Tudor garden chair.
It's a Tudor garden chair.
So that's where it belongs, in the garden. But he has been out.
He's been at it.
He's been at it with a servant in the orchard of an evening.
Fireworks.
The house has exploded. And then the culprits have realised he's not in the fucking house.
Yeah.
He's shagging a servant in the orchard. Strangle.
Strangle. I know, it's like shaggy.
So,
I know. I do like that. I actually love that.
Yeah.
But they would run from the orchard, surely, when there was an explosion of the house. They wouldn't carry on.
Well, no, perhaps they weren't. Perhaps they weren't caught mid in the act, sort of thing. Perhaps they may well have stopped and gone, "Ooh, my house has exploded."
And the ruffians
and
happened
then
to see them.
the ruffians have seen that. Oh, there's two men in the orchard.
They didn't see that beforehand. No, they were blinded by the building. And then the building crumbled, and then it was revealed that two of them in the orchard.
Obviously, the building has rocketed 40 foot in the air and has now just come back. So yeah, so now I think, and they're going, "Oh my god!" And shocked.
Let me just finish, but shocked.
Let me. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. So
yeah.
And then the ruffians come back and they go, "They're not dead. They're over there."
I know, but I don't think they would stay in the orchard. You would run the fuck away.
Why would you?
What?
Well, you don't know they're after you.
This
is just a horrible accident that's occurred.
There's no gas. It's a horrible accident.
But there's coal and explodey things.
Good logic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if there was
an
an
explosion,
explosion,
one would assume that if there's an explosion, they're trying to kill me. I mean, that seems to be the height of paranoia.
Yes, no, you absolutely would.
Would you?
It's the fucking Tudors. It's like they've not seen the TV series, but they've basically gotten enough. Like, I've tried to kill you my entire life.
I don't know. Is that the first place one goes to? So
You've just seen a man being stabbed to death by 80 people. If there's an explosion, you're going to think this may be about me.
I don't know. Perhaps he's really a confident, arrogant man.
He is. He's like,
So he's just thinking, "Wow, no, the house has just exploded. Oh my god, the house has exploded.
because houses just explode.
All my tapestries are in there." I think you find that something.
I think we may have gotten further into this than anyone ever has
exactly.
in history.
Insight. That's what you need.
Insight. I like it. Okay, you're going with that. Either way, that bitch dead. Everyone's like, oh no, Darnley died. Oh shit. But that is the second murder. That is the biggie. And isn't it fascinating? Isn't that a great story that we have solved?
Exactly. Me, thank you. We've just solved this ancient historical mystery.
I am going to let you take that win. Absolutely. We should go on stage.
I think you'll find I have just solved the mystery.
Please do. I will be behind you going, I support you 100%. Shanky, shanky, shank in the orchard. It's always shanking in the orchard, isn't it?
Always shanking in the orchard.
So he's dead. After this explosion, it's strongly suspected that Mary's half-brother, James Stewart, has orchestrated this. Not only him, but Lord Bothwell.
Oh.
Lord Bothwell. Now, he will have a role in Mary's life later, and I'll come on to that.
Okay.
Not in great detail.
Good.
Mary's also under suspicion. People are finding any excuse to blame Mary and her hierarchy around her and people who are on her side or people who are against her for this murder. It's great to them, but it's a very obvious murder. As I've said, this is sending a message because I think
obvious murder is strong.
Well,
I think.
Okay, based on your logic, if we go on your logic, but let's take it to the middle ground here. This little middle ground.
The accepted academic sort of conclusions. Fine.
Big explosion. Someone very obviously strangled. They have very obviously been murdered.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Regardless of the circumstances, someone has been murdered. So everyone is under suspicion, and Mary doesn't know what to do with this. And there are many back and forths with this, but she doesn't initially bring anyone to trial. There would be thoughts that, just bring anyone
Well, that's true.
in the vicinity.
Because if you were responsible, you would want a scapegoat type thing, really, wouldn't you? So
bring peasants, bring anyone. Just name a scapegoat, and she doesn't. And both, apparently, Elizabeth I and Catherine de Medici write to her saying, you need to do something.
Well, it does make you look guilty if you're not if you're leaving it open. Then what have you got to hide? If it's not them, then
exactly.
So,
and these sort of this advisory that comes from Elizabeth I and apparently from Catherine de Medici as well. And this is stuff you can't make up of the power play between these three icons of history. These two women saying, you need to do something. Elizabeth I in her letter would say, men say that instead of seizing the murderers, you are looking through your fingers while they escape.
Yeah.
Isn't that a great phrase?
Like it.
In the end, Mary agrees to a show trial of Lord Bothwell. Now, he is one of the lords who has been really, front and centre of all of the political machinations around it. It's a show trial because there's no evidence. No evidence can be admitted, and he is acquitted. He is acquitted completely. This relationship in inverted commas with Lord Bothwell, he is a very prominent figure in Scotland. She would, I think, come to regret, definitely, not convicting him, because he would go on to famously abduct Mary while she was visiting her son at Stirling. James was at Stirling. He abducts her, takes her to Dunbar Castle, and he rapes her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't dress that up in any other way.
No.
And it has been dressed up through history. I won't get on my soapbox about it completely because it's really badly done in so many historical reenactments of Mary's story. It's this horrific thing that Dunbar takes her. He assaults her because he wants to marry her. She will marry him. And she does. And she has to marry him. He's her third husband. It's not romanticised at all. He is not sweeping her off her feet. It doesn't happen on the wedding night. It happens before the wedding. Many historians have attested to that. There we go. And this is the beginning of the end because that's been going on for a very long time, really, for Mary. The marriage is not supported by the Scottish lords. They are far from a happy couple. She would meet her half-brother James in battle as he starts to fight for supremacy. He starts to demand that he should be in control. She battles him. She would lose. There were points where she was paraded through the streets of Edinburgh and blasted as a murderer, all about her husband's death. And she's locked up on the island of Loch Leven. While she was there, she would miscarry the twins that she was carrying through the relations, whatever you want to call it, with Lord Bothwell. Weak and distraught at that point, Mary Queen of Scots is forced to abdicate in favour of her son, James, who is 1 year old. It's a horrible part of her life.
Yeah, it's a terrible end.
Yeah, it is. And it's not even the end of her story. She does manage to escape the island. She manages to escape Loch Leven. The owners of the castle she's in were having a party, apparently, and she just slipped out.
Nice.
And what she does is famously she goes to England, and she escapes to England, and she appeals to Elizabeth. She thinks Elizabeth will help to reinstate her as Queen of Scotland because the lords have all moved in and they've got, okay, James I is there, but, you know, we're all going to be regents in the meantime. And Elizabeth wavers. Now, Elizabeth apparently wavers. Obviously, she's got Cecil on her council. Yeah. Cecil wants Mary Queen of Scots out of the picture.
Yeah.
Gone. He can't kill her. He has to find a way that they can execute her. He doesn't want any threat of her. You know, she could be quietly pushed to the sidelines. It's not good enough for Cecil. Elizabeth does not commit to this. You know, it's Cecil who really orchestrates this, and Walsingham as well. What ends up happening is that Mary is still implicated in Darnley's murder through her life. It goes into overdrive trying to find any evidence against her. The famous casket letters come out, which have since been almost proven to be fake, where it's these series of letters that Mary wrote about that she was going to kill Darnley, and that she wrote all these sonnets and everything, and it was all this evidence, and it's like very likely forged. But it begins 19 years of house arrest for Mary Stuart. Long drawn out process of Cecil finding any evidence that will lead to her execution. So wary is he of Mary's power and her favouritism amongst the Catholics as well. But it would end up with him really having to give her more freedom in her house arrest. She started off really well. She had less freedom in her house arrest. But then he was like, oh, actually, no plots can get in. No letters can get to her.
Yes. You're a bit too well guarded now, aren't you? So
it is that. He has to relax.
You can't scheme if you're under constant supervision all the time.
The guards are like, nothing will get in here. And he's like,
maybe let something
it down a bit. Just crack a window, man. Crack a window. And this happens, and eventually, letters are sent to her many times. And Mary wrote over the years in ciphers. She wrote in codes that have only very recently, some of her letters have been found and the code has been cracked of her letters. But she would write to different people, and people kept asking her to be involved in plots to kill Elizabeth I. You will be our queen. We will put you on the throne. She apparently refused a lot, or like if you know, legend would have it, like, oh, she turned down so many plots. But eventually she kind of acquiesced, and she does get involved in the Babington plot. Walsingham's codebreaker, Thomas Phillips, intercepted one of her letters. It revealed her attempt to become involved in this plot to assassinate Elizabeth I in 1586. They now have the evidence they need. She's put on trial. She protests her innocence. She is found guilty of treason in October 1586. Famously, Elizabeth struggled to sign her order of execution. It took months. She was constantly asked, sign it, because it would be the next day.
Done. Yeah.
And she went back and forth. She apparently asked one of Mary's prison guards to help shorten her life. She used the phrase shorten her life. Could you do something? And the prison guard said no, he would not make a shipwreck of his conscience and leave so great a blot on my poor posterity. Elizabeth would eventually sign her death warrant on 7th February 1587. The next day, Mary would go to the executioner. She removed her outer gowns and she revealed her petticoats and sleeves in red. Everyone is in black. She is in red because that is the symbol of martyrdom in the Catholic Church. That is the colour of martyrdom. She would go to the block. She would give her final words. 3 blows it took. 1, 2, 3 is some sawing. To sever her head. And allegedly, when the executioner lifted up her head and cried out, God save the Queen, her head dropped down because she was wearing a wig.
Oh, God.
Apparently, the auburn hair
Yeah.
was a wig that she had to the end because she was famously beautiful to the end. She was buried in Peterborough Cathedral by Elizabeth until her son, James VI of Scotland, first of England, ordered that she be reinterred at Westminster Abbey's Lady Chapel, and she'd be buried across the aisle from Elizabeth I. On her tomb it says, Mistress of Scotland by law, of France by marriage, of England by expectation. And that is the story of the murders that stalked Mary Queen of Scots.
That's a good story.
There
That's
we go.
Very good story indeed.
It's hard because you're like, how can you do it? How can you fit it
There's
all in? And
there's a lot to get in there, absolutely.
if you want to hear more about the incredible story of Mary Queen of Scots, I will happily dive into it in the next Patreon episode because it will be a chat about the Tudors. DM us, mention it on social media if there's areas that you want us to cover. But there we are. There's the murders around her
Yeah.
that aren't talked about a lot.
No, indeed. I was not familiar at all. It has to be said. I knew the outline of her life, but nowhere near in that detail. So no, it's been very interesting. I like it. I like it a lot. I like a bit of history.
Yes, you do. There's all sorts of like myths around Mary Queen of Scots as well. Of all these little bits and pieces that, if anyone has questions, I probably won't know. But I've done a lot of research in the last couple of days, and it's also endless. It's endless.
Oh, absolutely. Gorgeous.
But it's a life that's so rich, but it's been brought to screen and brought to TV many, many times. They didn't meet. Stop pretending that they met. They didn't. They fucking didn't. But people try and go like, oh, they met secretly. They met secretly and they had this conversation. It's like, no, they fucking didn't.
They had some letters.
They had some letters that's the bit I want to I wish people would dive into more. It's always boils down to who was the prettiest on screen. And actually it's better if you show that they never met and that Elizabeth did struggle. She struggled with Mary Queen of Scots of like, what? How can I condemn her? How can I condemn another monarch? Where everyone is telling me how to be a woman, how you need to rule. How can I condemn someone who's doing that? Well, what do you?
Sinead has thoughts. Passionate thoughts.
Clearly, I have thoughts. But what do you think, people? What do you think of the story of Mary Queen of Scots and the murders around her? Importantly, the murders of David Rizzio, this horrific murder that she was faced with, and also Darnley, because we have solved it.
I mean, we sorted that one.
That is a mystery-ish.
No longer.
No longer. What do you think happened with Darnley? Because that's the one to dive into. What do you think about the story of Mary Queen of Scots? What do you think about any of the elements of history there that you are intrigued by, that you feel needs more consideration? Tell us what you think. Jump on the comments of this episode. Share your thoughts, your feelings, your musings. But most importantly, have a few drinks.
Have a couple of drinks.
So
we've had a few.
We have, and it's been great.
It's been lovely.
I've kept going.
Both of them a treat.
Indeed. The Smoke of Scotland.
The Smoke of Scotland and the Mary Queen of Scots. Both bloody marvellous.
Absolutely delicious.
Yeah, so we shall have the recipes out this evening. So, if you got the bits, give them a go. They're grand.
If you love the Poisonous Cabinet, please consider joining us on patreon.com to get more from us every single week and every single month. Tell your friends about our podcast, and also, if you feel inclined, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast. It helps us massively, and do the same for any podcast that you love. Thanks for listening, guys. We have been the people inside the Poisoner's Cabinet. We will see you next week. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.
Oh,